Every single successful athlete has been coached to perfection. The vast majority of self made million and billionaires have had coaches along the way. Coaching, self help, expert books in every single sphere of our world flood the market for millions of dollars each year. Welcome back to this week's edition of Broker Talk. I'm Larry Lawfer, your host each week, who brings honest discussion about the real estate industry from the knowledge of working successful professionals. This week, we bring you another coach. Dan Hoover of Quantum Results is not a real estate coach per se. He's a life coach. His lifelong pursuit is to get better results for the people and companies he serves. Most real estate working professionals need help in all sorts, or coaching in a wide variety of tasks to master. Whether it's social media, video, drone work, photography, marketing materials, or scripts, these are the nuts and bolts of the industry. What this does not touch is the real part of working professionals who have to get up every day and prospect. They have to speak to people they don't know. They have to have uncomfortable conversations with people who just don't want to listen. These kinds of skills are life skills and not real estate skills. It's hard to say. Most agents I know, including myself in this category, have woken up and looked at that phone and not wanted to make the call, been filled with self-doubt and back talk. I'm welcoming Dan Hoover of Quantum Results. He's the kind of coach who can help us, and I hope he helps me in the next half an hour. Welcome aboard, Dan.
Glad to be here, Larry. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's So in that intro, I'm really talking about issues that are not real estate, but internal issues. I've talked on the show many times about how different people from different aspects. You can be a biologist, you can be an accountant, you can be a stripper, you can be a photographer, and become a successful real estate agent. But you bring along your baggage. What are the kind of things, and I know you have worked with real estate agents, was I right in talking about self-doubt and lack of confidence being crucial?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've worked with a number of real estate agents and brokers and people in sales in all different fields, different areas. And no matter where you are in life, you actually bring baggage forward, right?
You do. There's bad things that you've learned, and you
Yeah.
just don't know why. I
Yeah.
I I have told a story not on the show before, but something I learned early on. I was in someone's house, and it was right around Thanksgiving, and they were preparing for Thanksgiving. And the little girl, there was the little girl, her mother, and her mother. So it was like this generation of things, and they were
Sure.
putting a pot roast in, and they cut off the edges of this meat. And the little girl asking, a logical question, why do we do that? The mother turned to her mother and said, I don't know. Why did we do that, Mom? The mother turned to her mother and said, I don't know. Why do we do this, Mom? So the little girl goes off to talk to grandma. Goes into the room, and grandma, why do we cut off the ends of the meat? Because we didn't have a pot big enough. You have to ask the questions. Otherwise,
Yeah.
maybe it's time to get rid of that
Yeah.
self-doubt.
You thought it was some secret recipe to make it taste better.
Yeah, right. But you have to be curious. You have to ask that next question. Why am
Yeah.
I feeling this? But
Yeah.
what are some of the ways that you've helped other people?
Well, your example is a good one. And many people I talk to, they don't realize that they have limiting beliefs that are passed down from their parents.
Yeah.
That certainly happened with me. My parents were about 12 or 13 when the Depression hit. And I was born 27 years later when they were 40. But my mother was still saying, Danny, money doesn't grow on trees. You can't trust the banks. We could lose it all at any moment. So often there are several topics that we tend to cluster our beliefs around
Yeah.
because we don't question them about money, about education, about politics and religion, it kind of gets passed down
Right.
without a lot of discussion because it's
Right.
not always encouraged.
Right. Right.
But those are the kinds of things that hold most of us back. But it's also true that our parents often pass on to us good things,
Oh, they absolutely do. But
right?
we don't want to talk about those unless you do.
Well, I just want to say many people, even if they are highly successful in life, they don't really understand why.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're unconsciously competent
Yeah.
in certain skills.
Yeah.
And but then there are many people who struggle and say, "What I've been wanting X or Y in my life, whether it's a job or an income or reaching a certain commission level in a year. I've wanted that 5 years in a row. Why can I not get that?" It's frustrating to people.
We had this discussion earlier today when I said I wake up in the morning and I know what I'm supposed to do, and I was relaying to you the new recent information I want to share with the audience. Now, I guess it's better if you don't drink coffee first thing in the morning. You have cortisol in your body, and you're supposed to let that cortisol of your sleeping kind of dissipate before you drink your coffee. So, what you should do with that extra hour is you should get into a cold shower and then go exercise. And these are two things. It might be good for me. Dan, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. And
I'm with you. I'm with you. I probably have a cup of coffee within 20 minutes of getting out of bed. And I don't anticipate that changing no matter what they tell me, because, in a few years, they'll tell you something different.
well, the point is getting yourself started in the day. And for
Yeah,
me, that has always been the biggest issue to a successful day. Successful.
absolutely. Totally agree with that. And I focus on for myself and for my clients on getting in what I call getting in the right energy.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
talked before, and that my belief is very aligned with quantum physics and my study of it. And quantum physics has taught us that everything is energy. I mean, this table in front of me, it's hardwood. You can't see it, but it's hardwood. If we put it under a high-powered microscope, you'd see little molecules shaking.
Yeah.
It's a low vibration, but it's energy.
Yeah.
Everything is energy. And guess what? We are too.
Yeah.
So what determines our energy? Our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings. And if we wake up energetically feeling out of sorts, we all have bad days, or energetically expecting bad things to happen in the day, guess what? We're setting ourselves up for bad things to come into our day.
Right. Right.
So, you talk about morning routine. The first thing I do every morning is spend some time reflecting on my goals. What it is that I want to achieve. I meditate a little bit.
Yeah.
I think about things that make me feel good.
Right.
It
Right.
tends to stick with me throughout the day.
I heard something from one of our guests almost a year ago now. Don't start your day with social media. It's like starting your day with the parking brake on. Um,
Correct.
and
Correct.
don't read politics.
I
I,
actually, yeah, I actually have turned off media. I don't watch the mainstream media at all because it's designed for me to come back and watch more. That's the main purpose.
yeah.
And as everybody who's listening knows, there's several outlets, and they tend to say the same things over and over again. And they just like my mother instilled beliefs in me about money. If you watch the mainstream media, it will, whether you are asking for it or not, the repetition puts a
Yeah.
belief into you.
Yeah.
I'd rather think of my own than be programmed by somebody else.
Well, I think of neurolinguistic programming that we both know,
Yeah, right.
and would define that just for a minute because I think it's fascinating and
Well,
certainly part of the Bob Proctor programs.
it is part of his program, and he does a lot based on repetition of thought. But NLP, or neuro linguistic programming, has to do with being very careful about the words that you choose to say.
Right.
And if you want to change a belief or a habitual way of thinking, we can use our conscious mind to decide what we want. And if we want to change a belief that we have, we do it through repetition and
Right.
careful choice of words.
Right.
And that's basically what NLP is the repetition of thought and the careful selection of the words that we use. Because just like when you're listening to the news, it programs you, you program yourself when you use certain words.
Right.
Have you ever heard somebody say, "Hey, would you like to make an investment in something?" And they say, "Oh, that sounds good to me, but I'm afraid I would lose my money." That word "afraid," I would lose my money, it actually gets into your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
I would do international travel, but I'm afraid to. Well, are you really afraid to? No, but you're programming yourself when you say that.
Right.
I've asked people, would they like to do? They have a goal, some big goal. They want to do international travel, or they want to get a big house. They really would like to have a big house. And they right after they say what their goal is, they say, "But I could never afford that."
Right. Right. I'm going to do a nuts and bolts real estate thing that there are a lot of agents who would love to do a luxury listing. Luxury homes are
Yes.
top 10%. But
Right.
because they either never lived in a luxury home or don't know anything, they instantly have doubts. Well, how could they trust me? Um,
Yeah. How can I talk about that? I've never lived in one. Or I'd love to list a luxury house, but I don't know how to do that, or I'm afraid to do that,
right.
or I'm concerned about doing that.
Right.
These are all limiting beliefs, and you alluded to it earlier. It has to do with your self-image.
Right. So have, do, be. Let's talk about that for a moment.
Yes, I'd love to talk about that. So that this is a common way that I describe to people what I do, and it's a common thing that I hear when I talk to potential clients. Their model sequence is that they want to have, then do, then be. Once I have a better job, I'll be able to do things like buy a bigger house, and then I'll be happy. Have, do, be. Once I have a college degree, I will be able to get a better job and I'll make more money, and then I'll be successful. When you talk about having before you get in the energy of actually being, you're actually holding it away. It's like it's always in the future. And I'm 66 years old, so I don't think a lot about when my day will come. I want things now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
the have, do, be, I try and get people to completely reverse that. If you can energetically become, meaning in your mind, in your thoughts, become what your goal is,
Mm-hmm.
then do the things that someone who you want to become already is. The things that you want to have will come
Right.
naturally.
Right.
You're not holding it away. So let's do a real live example. Say someone in your example wants to be a top seller of luxury homes. You've got to get in the mindset. You've got to visualize yourself being that person. What does that feel like? What is your day like? What are the things you do? When you do that, you're using NLP, you're using auto suggestion to program your subconscious mind that you already are a
Right.
luxury home real estate agent. And
Exactly.
when you do that, you get inspired to do things that a luxury real estate salesperson would do. Instead of advertising in a local paper, you might get inspired to advertise in New York City for your home, the home that you're selling in Utah as a vacation home. You might get inspired to think differently and do differently. So I advise people to, in their thoughts and their energy, become what they want to
Right.
be.
Right. I want to
Then
go even.
they'll naturally do the right things,
Yeah.
and then what they want to have will come to them.
Yeah. Yeah. And the way I thought that before I became a luxury agent, the way I thought about that is I have to see what luxury agents are doing. So I went to every single open house of a luxury property that I could do. And I didn't say anything. I didn't ask questions. I just looked. I looked at the materials. I looked around the house. I looked how they described the house.
Yeah.
And after a while, I realized what you had to do. But the other thing I did, and I suggest this to everybody that's doing that, when you leave that, they always give you kind of a brochure, something to go home and put on your, so you look at it. And I always walked out with the price that I thought it was going to sell and how long it was going to take to sell that. And
Right.
after like 6 months or a year, you get a sense of what the price is, how long it's
Right.
going to take, looking at the way
Right.
the marketing is. You can actually even tell that's going to be expired in 60 days because this person is an idiot. And then
Right.
you just pay more attention. Um,
Yeah.
there are
Right.
things you can do. And is that how part of your coaching goes?
Absolutely. You want to lead people to do things like you did. When you go and observe people who are successful luxury sales people, luxury home salespeople, when you observe them, you are actually learning how to become them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you, in your mind, you can begin to see, I could do that,
Yeah.
or I can't do that. I'm going to have to learn this first, and then you learn it. And then you say, I can do that.
Yeah.
So by observing, you're actually visualizing becoming that person.
Yeah.
You can observe, if you want to be a broker instead of an agent, you could observe what brokers do, successful brokers do. You get in the energy of that. I want you to know that this is all based on quantum physics. Everything vibrates, like I talked about earlier. Einstein proved that energy vibrates, and it attracts to it energies that vibrate in the same resonance. You ever walk into a restaurant or bar and feel uncomfortable?
Yes.
It's because the vibe in the
Yeah.
place,
Yeah.
the energy in the place is
Yeah.
not matching yours.
Yeah.
And you repel it. You like almost want to leave. And then
Yeah.
there are other places you go, you walk in, and they say, Larry, and it's friendly, and you feel
Yeah.
connected with it. You resonate with that. So by getting in the energy of a top luxury home salesperson, you begin to vibrate out that energy, which
Right.
resonates with things that support you in your doing.
And based
It's
on the
actually,
right.
it's based on the law of quantum
Of
physics.
of quantum physics and then attraction. Because of the energy, you're
Yeah.
attracting other people of like energy.
Yeah, yes, exactly. There are a lot of coaches that talk about the law of attraction, and some of them do a great job, and some of them don't. I tend to talk about the law of vibration just because it's science based. It's the
Yeah.
same kind of thing, but it
Yeah.
really is an energetic vibration. How we feel has a big impact on what resonates with us.
Right.
And if we feel like a successful luxury home salesperson, we attract ideas, we attract people, we attract events, circumstances that help us do the things to actually get that result.
Right.
And it may sound a little out there for people who are listening today. It did for me at first,
Mm-hmm.
until I proved it to myself. And I have hundreds of clients that I've been able to help do this. I have real estate agent clients that I've doubled their income.
And
Interesting story. I had one woman she earned a good salary, $250,000 a year selling real estate. She wanted to double that because she had some goals of things she wanted to buy.
mm-hmm.
So I told her I could do that. And when we started working together, she said, look, what you're going to teach me, could I apply that to other things? And I said, certainly. Of course, it's the same kind of thing. So during COVID in 2019, I helped her get $480,000 in commission. It was
Excellent.
not quite double,
Excellent.
but pretty darn close. Then she called me 6-8 months later, and she told me that she used what I taught her to find a soulmate, and she got married last month.
Yeah.
So she put out the energy of what she wanted in a person, in a partner, in a life partner. And people that resonated with her came into her life.
Now, the key thing here, I think, Dan, and the place where I have fallen down is that I don't do that long enough or deeply enough. Like when you want to attract something or when you want to become that whole becoming a luxury agent thing. I just want to stick on that for a moment. It is
Absolutely.
I would go to places driving in my old Toyota Corolla at park a block away because I didn't want to have anybody see me get out of that. But I would walk up and I would be thinking about, I wonder what this luxury agent is thinking. I wonder what I wonder how they express this. I wonder what they're talking about.
Yep.
And after a while, it wasn't what are they thinking. It took a while, but what am I thinking became
Yes.
synonymous with it.
Right.
And it
Right.
was so slow that I wasn't aware, but it was only because I was thinking about it a lot in a
Yeah.
positive way.
Yeah. It does take time. It does take time to do that. And here's what you need to know. What all of you who are listening need to know is that every moment of every day, 24/7, you are putting out an energetic vibration.
Yeah.
And when you're walking from your Toyota into the luxury home and you're wondering what others are thinking, or you're wondering what you're thinking, that's a vibration of doubt and worry and anxiety. And you're going to attract and resonate with doubt and worry and anxiety. So it's not easy to execute, but the concepts are relatively simple.
Yeah.
And I wasn't successful at this until I had someone helping me.
Right.
So I worked with a guide who'd been through this, knew what the principles were, and I met with him on a regular basis, and he helped me understand how all this works.
Right.
If it wasn't for that, I would have never been able to do it, because I have, depending on how far away you are from your goal, you can attract it into your life, so to speak, manifest it in a short time, or it might take a long time. But without a guide to help you, it's really challenging.
Right. Right. And you have to commit yourself to the process.
You have to commit. You have to be persistent.
Right.
My coach and mentor, Bob Proctor, bless his heart, recently passed away. But he used to talk to me a lot about persistence and consistency and belief.
Right.
If you have to do things over and over again. Sometimes I've thought about the same outcome for 60 days straight in the morning before I saw any movement towards it.
Right. Right. I always I had a child that was athletic, and I used to talk to him before the games. So, hey Sam, we're driving home. What did you do today at the game?
Yeah.
And he picked it up after a while. And he would tell me what he was going to do, and then inevitably he would do that or a little bit more. And
isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. Yeah.
You were helping him get in the energy of his success before it started.
I never had that. I wanted to give that at an early age too. It's like you've seen those little kids. I'm beautiful. I'm smart. And I just love that because when you feel like that, you feel great.
Yeah.
And when you feel great, you perform great.
That's true.
It's like dance like nobody's looking.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Hey, have you ever watched professional golfers?
Yes.
So on TV, I follow a number of them, but I watch Jason Day. He's one of my favorite guys. And if you watch him, he stands in front of the ball, and every shot he holds the club, he kind of holds it up, and then he closes his eyes for a minute. He's actually visualizing the flight of the ball before he hits it.
Right. Right.
He wants to get in the energy of a successful shot. That's a mini version of what I help people do on big goals in their life.
Right. When you say that, I think of Babe Ruth, how he identified he was going to hit, there's going to be, or Larry Bird, who would tell the opponent, I'm going to shoot it in your face from right there,
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. I'm sorry, that level of confidence comes with work.
It comes with work. It comes with experience as well. I mean, the first time I felt that I actually used my thoughts to manifest something in my life, it was a wonderful moment, but it was like shocking.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa. So I had to try it again and again. Now, every time I did it, I strengthened my belief, which made it easier and made it come faster.
Yeah.
I used to have a journal that I called Amassing Evidence. And every time I thought I deliberately brought something into my reality, I would write in the journal. Once a month, I'd review all that to strengthen my belief. So that's part of confidence, right? Belief in
Abs-
yourself.
Absolutely.
Right.
Hey, I want to ask you a question. I have every once in a while I think of adding something to the show. I mean, aside from really interesting people, one of the thoughts I had was adding um, the real estate industry. It's funny because people are bizarre, and because we deal. My wife once asked me, "Why can't you get a normal client?" I said, "What's normal?" You know, in the middle of this, it's financial, it's big, nobody's normal. Everybody kind of reveals himself, but a real estate joke. So I heard one. I'm going to share it with you. You tell me if you think this. It's not my joke, but there's really good news in the economy right now, today, for the real estate industry coming from an odd industry. The avocados from Mexico are not able, because of the trucking situation, because of the farming and what's been going on, they're not able to truck all the avocados that our country is absolutely demands for its, guacamole. And that's really affecting the millennials, because millennials are traditionally the people that purchase, they're the new people. They're coming into
Yeah.
the market, and the
Sure.
millennials. So now, with the lack of avocados, those millennials will not be paying $10 for avocado toast, and they should have their down payment in like a couple of months.
That is so true.
Is that funny? I think that's funny.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. It's an interesting way to forecast the future.
I don't know if it's really. I heard that on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, an NPR program that I think is
The
hilarious.
shortage of avocados is going to increase their savings accounts, and they'll be buying real estate in no time.
That's good news.
That's great news. Oh man, that's a good
Anyway,
one. That's
um,
good. That's good.
so how do people follow you? Get to Quantum Results. Is it quantumresults.com?
Yes, sir, it is. Quantumresults.com. You can go there and find out a lot about me and what I offer. I'm also fairly regularly on LinkedIn.
Yeah. In fact, I
So if
think
you,
that's where we connected.
I think so. So if you go to LinkedIn and you search on hashtag Dan Hoover, you'll find my posts, or you can get to my profile. And so that's how I typically connect with people.
Right.
And I normally talk to them initially about what it is they want in life.
Yeah.
What are their goals, and if I think I can help them, I offer to, and if I don't, I try and offer something else that they can do if
Right.
I don't think that I can help them. But that's typically how people find me, and we usually have a conversation not too different from this conversation, to be honest.
Right.
I might go a little deeper into questioning about their goals, but I really help people discover what it is that they want in life, and then discover what we discussed earlier. What are those limiting beliefs that hold them back? And then I have a process to help them dissolve the limiting beliefs so that they can move forward.
Right.
And I like to do that in a way that they don't need me anymore. So I like to get myself out of a job. I show them how to do that in a way that they can do it for one goal after another for the
Right.
rest of their lives.
Right.
And to see people achieve big results, whether it's money related or relationships or whatever it is, it gives me a thrill, Larry. I mean, that's
Does.
really why I do this. I will say 3 out of 4, 75% of the people I talk to, their goals are related to money.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, that's where things tend to lead. And there's something about money that is really often in, like it was in me, we often have limiting beliefs that just hold it away from us.
Let's
Clear.
talk for just a minute about some of those, like money doesn't grow on trees. Uh,
Yep. Yep.
it's easier for a camel to fit it through the head of a needle than a rich man, or to get into. I can't even remember how
I
horrible.
can't remember all of them. I tend to think about all the things I hear people say, even when I'm talking to them about my coaching. They say, "Well,
Yeah.
I'd love to do that, but I don't have the time." They're programming themselves. I
Yeah.
don't have the money.
Yeah.
Um, I people tell me that they don't like where they live. I say, "Well, have you ever considered moving?" "Oh, I could never afford that." Just by saying that, they're
Yeah.
strengthening their belief, their
Yeah.
disbelief.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just need a dad to point it out to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And lead them through it.
Or a wife, if you're
Or
a
a wife.
husband.
I mean, I get coached by my wife all the time. I bet people can relate. Their spouses know us best, and they often tell us when we're
Well,
saying things that don't make sense.
a lot of husbands don't like that, but I know that she's the one who has loved me the longest and wants to not be embarrassed by being around me. So anyway, our 28th
Yeah.
wedding anniversary, we had a little party and just some friends and um,
Yeah.
uh, my wife was talking to her good friend Carol, and I was passing by. I went behind my wife to get to another part of the house, and I heard Carol say, "Oh, 28 years. That's just really wonderful. How has that been for you?" And she said, "Oh, it's pretty good. I almost have him trained." I stopped in my tracks. I said, "Almost? Oh my God, what else is there?"
Well, she could have just said you're untrainable. So that's not, it's better than it could be.
That seat went down early. I bring gifts, you know. I tell her she looks good. Anyway, it's 34 years and counting now. So,
Good for you. That's
yeah.
great. Congratulations.
But that too, I mean, if you want good relationships, you have to imagine there's an anticipation of
Yeah.
success, an anticipation of the joy that you can share.
Absolutely.
And in our work as a coach and for real estate agents, our goal and desire is to build better communities by helping people find the homes that they want, and
Yeah. Good.
you
Yeah.
to help us do that.
Yeah.
So I
Absolutely.
I really appreciate your time here. It's been great. I know we could stay a lot longer, and
Oh, I'm sure we could. I'm sure we could. And I hope I didn't take us off track too much, but thank you for having me on. And it's a pleasure
thank
to
you.
share a little bit about how I help people. It's what brings me great joy. Thank
Thanks
you,
so
Larry.
much, Dan. Real pleasure. Tune in next week for another great guest. I don't know if you can hear me over this music. The music sounds loud to me. Dan Hoover, Quantum Results. Thanks so much, Dan. See you next week.
Thank you, Larry.